Hi, today we are going to discuss about nested multifield in AEM. In most of the AEM project, we come with a generic requirement when we have to create a component having a multifield example, multifield scenario. Uh, what does it mean? I'll take an example here. So let's assume we have to show multiple mobile models and these multiple mobile models of three different brands. So we have to create a component where we have to input multiple brand name. Under each brand name, we should be able to show the specific model that comes from that particular respective brand model, brand name. Okay. So here I have showing one example where I have taken three brand name: Apple, Samsung, Google, and for each brand name I am taking three or four model. So it depends up to you how many models you wanted. So in each brand we should be able to enter multiple model information. Don't go with the accuracy of these data. These are test data. I am showing the data are definitely incorrect. Okay, the model name, the year are incorrect if you compare with the real time scenario data. These are, I'm just entering for some our example only, so don't go with the accuracy of these data. That if you might have question, SIT is not launched on 2008. I have just entered some input data, some random data. Okay, just to get an just to create an example. Okay, so here what I am doing, I am creating three brand in the multi-field. I'll be creating three brand and each brand will have some model information. Okay, and each model information contained, like if you see, this is one model, this is second model, this is third model, this is fourth model. Now here for the second brand we have three model only. Okay, and this example, let's see. So we will create a, I have already created the component. So I have already created a component. In my previous project I have created a project called AEM Guides Weekend. You can get this particular doc from the Adobe documentation. You can refer to my previous video how to create a project and how to build that project. So that same project I have created a folder. Under the component I have created a folder called AAA. Then reason I have taken the folder AAA, I just wanted to have all of my component at in one folder which comes at the top. Okay. Inside AAA, I am creating a nested field component and it has a HTML and it has a CQ dialog. My component name, I have taken nested field component. I have not changed the component group. I am keeping to WKND sites project so that I can directly drag and drop my component. And in the CQ dialog, I have taken, if I show the structure of the CQ dialog, I have taken two tab just to make sure even it works with multiple tab as well. So inside tab, uh, tabs, I have taken two tab. So inside tab one, I will be creating the multi-field. So there is a category I have taken. Inside category, I have taken brands, and inside brands, I am taking brand name, which will be either Apple, Google, Google, Redmi, MI, or Realme, all those mobile brand name. Then I am creating brand model. Okay, so brand model also in multi-field. Okay, and under the brand model, I'm keeping model name and year just to make sure that we are able to enter a lot of multiple data. Okay, so that's it. So we have created this CQ dialog box. I have already built this particular project, so I'll just export again and we'll see how the CQ dialog is appearing. Okay, so yeah, until unless, so this is whenever I am dragging, I have drag and drop two component, and whenever I'm dragging dropping a component, my empty component will look like this. This is a placeholder view in the authoring mode. To get this placeholder view, I have written a code in the nested multifield at the last. So this is the placeholder code. You can always refer to this code how to get the placeholder view of your component. Okay, now after filling this particular component, right? So this is the empty component looks like. Okay, there are two tab I have created, but we are going to use only one. I have created just to make sure it works with multiple tab as well. There is no conflict or no confusion. Okay, in the first step I am taking a category name. However, here I have written something called nested field example, and we will be able to create the brand name here. We are adding the information, and inside it we can create multiple brand model. So this is brand name, and inside this brand model, and we can create multiple brand model. Okay, and even we can delete, we can reorder the brand model. These all are possible as part of the multi-field. Okay, I'm canceling it. So I have already filled the data, so I'm going to show it. So if you see, this is my category name, or kind of just for example, I have put a text field also, so that we will see how to print these data and how we are printing these data. Okay, and these are the actual brand name, sorry, brand models that I have put it here. For the first one I have taken 4, second one I have taken 3, and accordingly you can add as much as you need. Even we can add one more brand name, brand details as well. Okay, so I'm clicking, I can click done as well. I'll click done. Now we'll go see here, reload the data. It is showing, if you see, there are 3 sections I'm showing. That's is one is using Sling model, another using HTL or Sightly, pure Sightly, and another using JavaScript Use API. Okay, to use these to show these information, I'm using the syntaxes following by HTL specification. I'll give all these link in the description, so you can refer all the time. And this example I have committed already in this particular repository, and the branch name will be nested multifield example. And if you go to the main branch, there will be the default project structure only. Okay, now let's go how we have achieved. So once we created the CQ dialog content, so what we can do, we will just go to the HTML and we'll see how we have developed. Okay, I'm not going to show all at once. So first we will go. So if you see properties dot category, I'm printing. So this is the category information we have given here. This is the category information we are printing at the top, which is printing edge in our example, nested multifield example. Okay, that we have given here the category name. Okay, now the first way I am showing here is using Sling model. How we can adapt or how we can create a nested multifield, and once we are able to create the CQ dialog, how we can access these multifield values in the Sling model and print it in our HTML. Okay, so there are 3 ways we can do as of now. There are other ways also, but I feel these are the most popular way we use, and it is still being used as part of the uh, standard practice. The most recommended approach is using Sling model, and Adobe also recommends always use Sling model rather than going for STL, pure STL or use API. So the reason of going with Sling model is you will have more control. You can modify, you will have more control, and you can modify the data in between, while before rendering and after not after rendering. Before rendering you can do a lot of modification. So that's why Adobe recommends to have the Sling model. But there are some project, it depends on your project. You can, it's just a recommendation to use Sling model, so there is no kind of restriction. You have to use the Sling model only. So you can use the other 2 approaches I have given here. Before going to other 2 approaches, the first we will see how we have created Sling model. Okay, so to access all the CQ dialog box, I have created a Sling model. So I'll go to the core level. So we usually create our Java classes Sling model at the core level. So main model, inside model I have created, if you see, nested multi-field model I have created. So if you see it, this is just a simple interface, and the implementation is there under the IMPL. Okay, I've created an IMPL here, and this is going to be actually the start of our execution of the nested multi-field. So I am creating a IMPL class. It is implementing our interface, and this is adaptables to resource.class because we are doing all the execution around resource only. There is no servlet related execution, so I'm not adapting to HTTP servlet. So then the adapters will be the interface. Okay, if you see, I am using getter, and this getter is actually coming from Lombok. You can use Lombok. So when I'm using getter method, getter annotation with from Lombok, what it does automatically, it handles the dot getter methods that if I won't write this particular annotation, right, I have to write the getter method for this branch. So I have to write something like public list get branch, which will give me the branch information. Okay, so once if I would recommend you can use Lombok in your project. To use Lombok, I think what I have done, I have added this as part of the pom.xml, as part of the dependency Lombok, and you can do the same. You will get this Lombok from Maven repository, or I have given the URL to access this dependency also. You can refer to that. Okay, I'll go to the our model again. So here I am taking one attribute called brands, which will be our, so this is actually our first level of multi-field. I'm giving the named as brands slash dot. You can avoid giving this name also, because once you give, if the name is same, you don't need to give the same name. If the name is different, you can give the different name. Okay. At inject means automatically it will inject, and once this branch will be injected, this will actually internally contain lot of other nodes, multi fields. So I have created multiple other models. If I go here, these are also I'm injecting as a resource.class. I'm putting the strategy as optional because somewhere the data might be there, might not be there, so based on that I'm taking. So my brand name will be just a string, and under the brand model it will have more multi-field. That's where I'm taking this as a list. Okay, under the brand multi-field, these are the values I'm taking. Remember, there are, if you see, this is my interface, this is my implementation, but there are two resource model I have taken for brands and brand model. Okay, because these will be the part of generic type inside the list. If you have a different approach, you can take a map to manually get all these details from the resources map or value map, and you can create a map accordingly, and that whole logic you can write in the nested multi-field, or you can write the way I have taken models to adapt directly. Okay, both works. It's just how you are approaching it, depends on that. In this way, you can just keep adding the attribute here, and automatically this will be automatically injected the values, and all these values will be available at the branch level. Okay, so once we do these changes, right, so what we are doing, we are calling our Java class model. This is just a text, static text. Then I'm iterating over the branch. So model dot branch means it will call the this particular getter method, and this will return a list of brands, which will, because it is a list, I need to iterate over a data SLY list. Okay, and once I am iterating over data SLY list, I will be able to print all the brand information. Okay, so this should not be brands, let me change it, it will be each brand. Okay, it will be each brand. Naming convention is very important here. So always careful about the naming convention. Let me check it. I'm sure it should work. It works. I reloaded. Okay. So each brand dot brand name, and each brand, once we are giving the brand model, again under each brand we will have a lot of brand model which returns a list. So we are using data sly list. To check this data sly list syntax, you can always go to the HTL specification URL. So here all the examples are there. If I go to the top, there are a lot of completely, you can just go with which one you wanted to use. For example, if you want to test data sly test, then you can just click here, or data sly list. You go here, and they have given a lot of example for your reference. Okay, so once I get this model, then I can print directly the model name and year. Okay, this is the example I have taken only for Sling model, this part. That's where I am printing here Sling model. Okay, any error, so there are some part you have to careful. If in case any error appears, you can always check the error logs. So I usually achieved this example. It took a lot of time to find lot of error because of the import case. Whenever I was writing, there are a lot of import statement was missing, or wrong imports. Due to wrong import statement, it wasn't working. So always check the error if you are not able to get it. And I will leave the example so that you can check the import statement correctly, so that your class Sling model should work properly. If you're just following this much, it doesn't work. You have to make sure these import statement also should be correct. Okay, if you are going with this approach, then you can achieve this particular structure of getting the multi-level nested field. Okay, so currently I am using only two level of nested field, but you can use a multi level of nested field. You can use any much level of you want. It is recommended to use only Sling model if you are going more than three layer. But if you are less than three, it is up to you. You can use other two example also. Okay, uh, so the other two example, I'll quickly go to other two examples. So here I'm using Sightly, and remember, I am using the same CQ dialog to print all of these three. You can use three component to print three types of these fields. Only the HTML will change, but the CQ dialog will be same. That's why I'm using just in the same HTML. I'm trying to use three example, but you can create three component, and each component can contain only this particular section. Okay, so the this can be the first component, and the second component you can put this example, and third component you can put this example. Okay, so as part of the second example, we are using purely Sightly, where we are trying to get the current resource. So these are the implicit variable you can use. Resource is the implicit variable. I'm trying to get children, which will give me the list of node that is created under this multi-field. And I'm just giving I'm doing a data sly test to make sure I'm just checking the branch whatever we wanted, only that particular child we are executing. So for that, we are using a data sly test, which this makes sure we are properly accessing the data under a particular node. And once we get this particular once we check this particular brand, then we are checking, okay, now I want this particular brand, sorry, this particular multi-field get children, and under brands only. That's why we have put a data slow test. Okay, then the same thing we will repeat in the second layer. And if you want to do the repeat, then you can do under this like after three, the third layer also can be put inside it. Okay, third layer, fourth layer, as much as you want you can do. For every layer you have to put a test condition, and for every layer you can have some different node name. It is okay to have a same node name also. There is no problem, because it is always a under a child node. It's not in the flat structure. So you can always take this. Okay, the same example I have taken with a use API. So we don't recommend to use API, but there are some project they still use JavaScript use API. So there is a Java use API and JavaScript use API. You can refer to this example. It's still valid to use these syntaxes. They have given as part of the documentation as well. So you can use API. Okay, there is a use API there. This is the Java use API, this is the JavaScript use API. We don't use Java use API much, because now Sling model are the alternate to the use API. but JavaScript, there is no alternate to JavaScript Use API. If you are using JavaScript Use API, if you are from a JavaScript background, then you can use the JavaScript Use API. Okay, so to use the JavaScript Use API, you can directly so the way we have created the Sling model for Java purpose, I have created a Use API. This, okay, so I have created this Use API where I am passing either absolute path or absolute, along with the absolute path I have to pass a multi-field name, and this will provide me the actual information of that particular multi-field details. So if you see, I'm calling to this particular list use, and I have created that particular use API under the use API /js list.js. Okay, I'm calling this particular JavaScript use API, and I'm using data sly use because remember, data sly use can be used to instantiate Java classes or JavaScript use API, JavaScript uh, functions, and even multiple places also you can use JavaScript, this data sly use. Okay, so I'm using the use API to instantiate this particular JavaScript instance, and I'm providing a multi-field name, that is the branch, which will be under the branch there will be multi-fields. Just to show the node structure also, I will go to the node structure here. If you see, after creating the nested multifield, see, this is the uh, two example I have taken. Sorry, here I cancel. So if you see, this is my first component, second component, and here also this is my first component, which is empty. I have not authored it. This is my second component. Under the second component, there is a node created. Under that, there is three node because these are the three brand. If I click on each, right, if you see Apple, the brand name is Apple, and for each node, right, there is a brand model that will be created. This is my second layer of multi-field, and each brand model, if I click, right, there is no title I have not added. So under the brand model I am adding all the details, that is iPhone, and this is, if you see, the second brand model details is the third, fourth, and similarly that continues for others as well. Okay, so this is the two level of multi-field I have taken. You can take multiple level of multi-field. Okay, and as part of the JavaScript use API, what we have to do for the first attempt, what we are doing, if I am not passing this absolute path, I'm considering, I have already written the logic in such a way, if I'm not passing the absolute path, then I'm considering the current resource path is the absolute path, and based on that, it will automatically take, directly it will consider the brand first, and it will try to get the value of the brand. Once it gets the value of brand, I'm trying to iterate the brand item. So that's where I'm iterating all this item 0, item 1, the first level of items. And once I do that, for the second iteration, I'm giving a absolute path, because the granite resource path will always have only the current resource path, and when it started, the current resource path was nested multi-field, but when we came to this level, right, it will still contain the nested multi-field as the current resource path. So I'm giving the absolute path till this item 0, and I'm giving a node name called brand model. So till this item 0 will be provided as a absolute path. Here if you see, this is, here I'm giving each brand path. So each brand path is this item 0, then I'm giving brand model. So I'm telling, okay, this is the each brand, and under that there is something called brand model node. Under that we have to give all our iteration. That's where I'm again doing a data select list, and I'm doing, if you see here, we can actually mix and match as well in our uh, sightly. So if you see here, I have written Sling model, here I have written pure sightly, here I have written use API. And if you know more ways to iterate also, please include in the comment section. Any reference if you are getting, please include in the comment section, so that others also will know there are multiple other ways also to iterate the node or getting the information of a node. However, for whenever you are going with the Sling model, until unless you completely done, it is recommended to do only Sling model or only sightly. You can usually we mix and match Sling model and sightly, but if you are using JavaScript API, try to use it independently. But these all options can be do a mix and match. Okay, so this is three ways how we can access the nested multi-field information into our component HTML, and the same can be done in Sling model, pure sightly, and JavaScript use API. There are other ways also to do it. These are the three popular ways. If you know, if you are currently using any other way, I would recommend please put your approach in the comment section so that other will also know. Even I will also might find something different that I never came across, and it will helpful, and I will try to include those approaches in my future videos. I have put some comment section also here just to make sure in as part of this how to get the name and path of the node, all this information. That's where I have added some comment lines as well. You can use in your component implementation. But remember, recommended is the Sling model, and these are the alternate ways you can use. What is why Sling model is recommended? Because we do have much control over the Sling model. We can check the logs, we can control the variable. We just need only whatever node we need, only that node we can use. If we don't, so in case of sightly, we don't have much control. Rather, to make it controllable, we always use data SLY test lot of places, but we cannot do much modification. We have to rely on the API, that is implicit data variables, whatever is available. Based on that, we have to access the information and render the data. In case of use API, it is kind of a alternate to Java model, but it is not popularly used. I have just given example here because in case there are some project they have UI resources who use JS API, so you can also refer to this example. Okay, with this we come to end of this video. Please like and subscribe the video and our channel. If you need more details, please add your feedback at the comment section. I'll always check all the comment section, all the comments of each video, and I try to take feedback and I try to improve the video quality as well. Thank you.